Today, we come to you with heavy hearts as our beloved New York Rangers have been eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games.
Heavy hearts and injured livers.
And tears. I'm still a child.
Nothing wrong with that. But obviously, I think most of us feel like our Rangers overachieved this season. I don't think any of us saw them coming this far. And while I am upset that we didn't take it to the next step, I am still very, very optimistic and looking forward to the future. And hopefully, in the very near future, we see some more magic with this team. They've got some beautiful cohesion and friendship. Really, I mean, we saw the end of season outgoing interviews yesterday, and Mika just came in and crashed Kreider's interview because he was like, "I'm just here to be a brotherly support." Like, and that's a big deal. I mean, that's part of the reason they got as far as they did. But here we are with the end of the season, and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, I really couldn't stomach much of the post-mortem kind of interviews. I really I tried to tune in a little bit, but the fact that Gallant's not answering for why Kakko sat, you hear that Kakko didn't know he was sitting. Nobody approached him. Nobody told him before getting to, the arena. So it's kind of, it doesn't make sense at all. He was not a liability at all on that team. The fact that you sat him and they sat Reeves 2 games in a row, they sit Reeves going into game 6, knowing that they need some kind of momentum shift, knowing that Tampa Bay absolutely demolished us at the end of that game and started throwing bodies, and Laf is on the floor, and you have what's his name, Lingard leaving the ice bloodied. You would think that this guy would see the writing on the wall, see what it takes to get in there, get a little nasty, and it's just like clueless, essentially clueless. You cannot tell me Hunt and Rooney make the team better than Reeves and Kakko. In no way, shape, or form does it make it better. You want to fucking sit Strome, who can't hit the broadside of a barn. He couldn't hit water if he fell off a fucking boat. Empty net after empty net after empty net, he misses. And it's enough is enough. And honestly, I have no problem with Gallant at all going through the season, but those faux pas right at the end, I mean, they weigh a lot more because it decided pretty much the fate of the Rangers, or potentially decided the fate of the Rangers. And it's unforgivable. And the fact that he doesn't have answers for it is a fucking joke. So I don't care if it's a personal thing. Obviously, it's not a personal thing on Kakko's side because he says, unless it's a blatant lie, he didn't know he was sitting. I mean, tell me that Kakko literally went up to him and told him, "Listen, fuck you. You're the reason we're losing." Tell me he was insubordinate. Tell me he, got into it one of his line mates, or he just had a bad attitude, or, 5 minutes before the game, he was on the fucking bowl and couldn't be reached because he had horrendous diarrhea. Like, give me something. But to say we're not talking about it at this time, fuck you, dude. Like,
it better be
the fans deserve an answer.
Hey,
dude, the fans deserve an answer. And you can't fucking leave us in the dark when that decision was a major decision. In no way, shape, or form did Kakko deserve to be sat on the bench for any reason. He was not generating anything negative. It's not like, he was giving up or falling back on plays. He was in on every fucking play. Maybe he wasn't lighting the lamp as much as he should. Maybe he didn't get the points, on the stat sheet as much as we hoped he would. But he was still grinding it out. That kid line, not a single person on that kid line is at fault for the fate of the Rangers.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely not. They were the fire for that team throughout the playoffs, and from what I'm hearing, Gallant never bought into the kid line. He thought it was more of a novelty than something that actually worked.
Tell me that doesn't sound like Tortorella all over again.
I mean, but the proof's in the pudding. I mean, the only thing I'll say is, while I'm not happy about, Gallant's inability to tell us what happened, I am not going to do what it seems like a lot of people are doing and just be completely unappreciative. Because obviously him coming in had a lot to do with us getting this far. Whatever he did.
We're not getting
Whatever
that
he
far.
did.
We're not getting that far with David Quinn. I'll tell you that.
We're not. We're not.
Or honestly, here's my take on it. So I just want to make this clear. Do I think that the Rangers would have guaranteed would have won that game if Kakko played? I'm not going to say that. No, there's no guarantee that they would have won. But this is the part I don't understand: is that you think that playing Kakko and Reeves is more of a liability than playing Kevin Rooney and Dryden Hunt, who Dryden Hunt didn't start a game since Game 3 against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And when you're talking about a 21-year-old and messing with his head, benching him in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final in an elimination game it messes with your head. And it obviously showed during those postseason interviews. Because Kakko had no idea. It was like when he was asked the question, he was basically like, it was almost just like, what are you talking about? And I honestly felt bad for the guy. I really did. Because it messes with your head. The guy is probably going to come back next year. At least I hope he does.
Oh, I hope he does.
Because I know they're talking about the bridge contract or whatever that is.
Right.
But I don't want to see him go, because that kid line, that's potentially the Rangers' future.
100%.
And you look at the other two guys in that line, Filipino and Lafreniere. Filipino obviously showed up for the playoffs. And I don't know if you guys listen to Blue Shirts Breakaway, but Greg Kaplan said that someone said to him, oh, well, Filipino only shows up for the playoffs. That's fine. I completely agree that is fine. I don't care.
There never was a time to show up.
If we make the playoffs and then you decide, okay, I'm just going to go off now, that is completely fine. And then you got Lafreniere, who next year, as long as Gallant gives him the ice time that he didn't get this year.
Yep.
Because everyone can agree that the fact that you were playing Kevin Rooney for 16, 17 minutes a game and you were playing Lafreniere for 11 minutes a game, and he still found a way to score, to have 31 points in the season.
And some of his goals, dude, are just, you could just see.
They're filthy.
He's got that spark, man. He's got that shit.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just there's a reason he was the first round. He was number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree with you 100%. And
not everyone is Connor McDavid.
And you can't be, but just look how far Connor McDavid got. That shit only gets you so far. The way that the Rangers performed as a unit, as a team, that's what gets you deep in the playoffs. Having that recipe for a well-rounded full team. And I mean,
fucking Shesterkin in that.
Yeah. Listen, it's a disappointment because we know how hard it is to get this deep into the playoffs. We know how hard it is to win a Game 7. The Rangers made it look pretty damn easy, 2 series in a row. And then we come out and we take 2 games on Tampa right away and pretty much are controlling Game 3 up until the third period. We come out flat and we stayed flat the rest of the series.
I got to say, one of the things that you can blame on that is the fact that every single liability on that team showed. And then Gallant decides to bench the one thing that wasn't a liability.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the killer for me was, I think up to that point, the Rangers had played the most games in the playoffs of any team.
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a killer too. You can't play 7-game series every single series. You can't do it. As much as Rook wants it, they can't play a 7-game series every single game. Every single series. It's a killer.
Not only that, especially not when you're giving up fucking 50 shots on net.
Yeah. Yeah. They were averaging like 48 allowed shots on net, and they were only putting up maybe 33.
And yeah, I don't want to hear anybody say that Vasilevsky was better that round. I don't want to hear it.
Not a chance. Not a chance because the Rangers were putting less shots on net and not as good as shots as Tampa Bay was. And Igor, I mean, he stood on his fucking head. He was a brick wall. He did absolutely everything he possibly could. And it
for
showed.
Igor.
Absolutely. So it's not on Igor. I got to say, I mean, I've shit on Strome a little bit already. And I think in my mind that deserves to be shat on. But I'm surprised that there's a lot of Trouba hate out there, and I just don't understand it.
I
do not understand how many Ranger fans on Twitter are just like, move him. He's a goon. He does absolutely nothing. It's like, what the fuck were you watching? He fucking single-handedly took Sidney Crosby out with a clean hit and pretty much did exactly what every Ranger fan wanted to fucking see. I mean, come on. The guy throws the body every opportunity he has, and he lays the boom. He lays the wood. And every time ESPN, it's a high hit. It's a high hit because he's taller than everybody on the fucking ice. His hands are down. His shoulders are down. How many times do you have to have Mark Messier explain hockey to you? That it's not a dirty hit. It's a clean hit. It's a hard hit. And it sucks when people get hurt. But it's as clean is.
You know, like Chara has a lot of high hits, too. It's because he's 6'8".
Yeah.
6'9", actually.
It's a clown show, dude. It's an absolute clown show. And I do not understand the Trouba hate and the get rid of Trouba and move Trouba in the offseason. I mean, the only person I really want to see moved in the offseason is Strome. I don't think we should re-sign him. In my mind, he's not worth it. Patrano's worth the buck.
100%.
Like Patrano's got some fiery speed.
Dude,
he's my number one re-sign. Number one.
He wants to stay.
He does want to stay, but so does Strome. Somebody has to explain to Strome, if you want to stay, you hit wide open nets.
Do you guys think that there's an actual chance that these guys will take pay cuts to stay in New York? Are they those kind of players?
Some of them are. I'll say this. I think some of them are smart enough to realize, I mean, take a look at Mark Messier. While he is a Hall of Fame player, right? There are certain players in New York that, even if they are not Hall of Fame players, they have a job for life simply because they played for a New York team and they were loyal and they made the best of their opportunity. Look at somebody like Sean Avery, who's still like very popular. If he doesn't ever play for the Rangers, he's probably still kind of popular within like hockey circles, but he doesn't have that transcendency that like people know him at that point.
But look at
banging out the girl next door.
Listen, Sean Avery made a name for himself throughout the league. Everybody knew who Sean Avery was because he's an agitator, and you couldn't get around knowing who Sean Avery was because
beyond hockey.
Right, but before beyond hockey, you know who Sean Avery was because 29 teams fucking hated his guts. You know what I mean? But look at Kevin Weeks has a job. Anson Carter, job. You have all these ex-Rangers that are just locked up in the MSG organization. Dave Maloney's been calling games forever on the radio.
Marty fucking Buron.
Yeah. Yep. Who else? Oh shit. Who's the dude with the flowing locks that all the chicks loved in the 70s? Ron Duguay.
Ron Duguay.
I was going to say, your mom loves Ron Duguay.
My mom loves Ron Duguay.
My mom had a poster of Ron Duguay, and she wasn't even a hockey fan.
Same here. So, listen, you stay in New York.
I was going to say Ron Duguay, but I was like, I'm not going to say it because I didn't want to bring up sore feelings with your mom because I know she loves Ron Duguay.
What sore feelings?
Well, because he's not with the Rangers anymore, so she doesn't get to see him as much.
It doesn't matter. She still has that love. She holds that flowing lots of hair in her heart.
Isn't he with somebody else now?
Got to give a shout out to Ron Duguay real quick, just because he's great on Up in the Blue Seats. I don't know if you guys listen to that podcast, but he's great on that.
Nice.
It's nice.
Shout out to Diane Doyle.
She's on a cruise right now.
Well, she'll see
She's
it. I'm
sending me pictures going underneath the Verrazano Bridge, sipping on a pina colada.
Watching this podcast.
Yeah, definitely not. She doesn't have that dedication like me getting on a podcast while I'm half drunk somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But I mean, I think Patrano is an easier sign. I think the fact that Florida moved him lets him know, a little bit of self-worth. He wasn't getting that much.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah. I think his cap hits was 1.4 or something like that.
That's
if that.
Yeah, basically.
I think that if it comes down to giving giving Patrano more money and getting rid of Strome, do it. Absolutely do it. And for fuck's sake, bring up Ottman right away. I don't care. He's a young kid. Bring him up. Let him learn hockey the right way in the NHL.
If we're being honest, though, has bringing up these young guys done us any dirty this year?
No.
Braden Schneider, Zach Jones did a hell of a job, I thought.
Yes.
I think that you should bring him up next year. Get rid of Nemeth. Buy him.
I don't want to see Nemeth ever again.
Buy Nemeth the fuck out.
Who?
I'm just
even Braun, dude. Even Braun, I'm not sold on.
Well, Braun, he's a 30, what is he, 36, 35, whatever he
Something
is.
like that.
I think he did exactly what he was expected to do. He made a few mistakes, but
No, listen, he didn't cost us anything. It's just compared to the rest of your defense, it doesn't mesh well. It's when your defense looks that stellar on paper, he's a liability, and I think you really don't need to see it. I'd rather see Schneider up there. I'd rather see the
Good
Rangers bring up
call.
Ottman. I have no clue why we're fucking giving Kravtsov money. I don't understand, unless it's going to be like a sign and trade type of deal just to get something back, or maybe getting an extra draft pick or something like that. The dude didn't want to be here. He's a whiny bitch, typical fucking Russian player, wants to think his shit don't stink. Dude, go fucking play in the KHL. And all of a sudden, he doesn't want to sign in the KHL. Why? Because the KHL sucks. That's why. The KHL is legitimately run by the mafia. Like cut the shit.
If you're Rangers Twitter, if you're listening, stop saying that signing Kravtsov for more fucking money is a win, because it's not.
How is it a win? What has he done?
Fucking time, and you look at this team. It's based on friendship, and this guy doesn't want to fucking be here.
Dude, he's done nothing so far, and the only reason we know about him is because he's a whiny bitch. And that doesn't fly in the hockey world. You can get away with that shit in the NBA. You can get away with that shit in the NFL. It does not fly in the NHL. It does not at all.
One fucking preseason game.
Yeah.
And everyone's bashing Trouba. You don't want to fucking bash this guy?
It's pathetic.
Unbelievable.
I really don't understand the fascination with, we need Kravtsov. Kravtsov's going to be the biggest thing. Is he? Because the only thing that's big is his whiny bitch mouth. Yeah. That's not a good that's not a good combo with this team.
And if you look at
the Ottman pick though. I like that T. Like, bring him up. Give him a try. Why not? He's sitting there setting records in the AHL, right? I mean, he's down in the minors setting records, winning games, playing in big spots. He's got a couple of game-winning goals.
Yep.
Sign him up. Bring him up.
And the AHL, I gotta say, is a legitimate hockey league.
100%. Listen, you
have
the
more.
Yes.
Even going to a couple of the Jacksonville Iceman games, these guys got fucking skill.
100%. You don't have the room to operate like you do down there. But again, you're not going to learn that. You're not going to learn that type of hockey until you come up and get accustomed to it. It's not, like you said, they're not all Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid was skating circles around these guys by 30 feet. He came up to the NHL. Now he's doing it by 15 feet. It's just you have that room built in because you're stellar. You're a stud. You're a once in a generation type of player.
And it's legitimate in Connor McDavid's case. It's every 10 years. Actually, maybe a little bit less. Every 15 years. Have we seen a talent like him since Crosby?
I think he's better than Crosby, especially.
I concur.
Out the gate, BJ. Absolutely.
I meant by reputation.
Right.
And Crosby came up, he was the next big thing.
Like Crosby and Ovechkin that dominated for a good 5 or 10 years, and it's winded down in the last 3 or 4 years. But Crosby and Ovechkin were the huge thing, and now you have McDavid, and I think
Matthews
out the gates, and Matthews. Austin Matthews is an incredible talent as well, but it's just overshadowed by how amazing McDavid is. He's an artist with the puck.
So that's the thing.
I still have nightmares about him cutting through 5 of our players and scoring. I wake up in the middle of the night and I go, no! It's awful.
That's the thing too, is like if you compare McDavid and Matthews, McDavid doesn't hesitate to do what he knows best.
Right.
I know that Austin Matthews knows exactly what the fuck to do, but he hesitates. McDavid just fucking does it, and no one expects it.
And that's not shitting on Austin Matthews at all. It's just McDavid has that. It's just apparent when you watch him, you understand how special of a player he is.
Listen, somebody's got to be number 2.
So speaking of that, going with the Hart Trophy finalists airing on June 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you guys got winning the Hart? In non-bias.
Probably Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I got to disagree because I put money on Igor winning, and I think he's going to.
Did you?
I really think, because I know it's based on the regular season. I get that. But I have a feeling that they do it after the first 3 rounds of the playoffs for a reason. I really do. And you're not going to tell me that. I know McDavid had an insane playoff, but you're not going to tell me.
That's the sick part. I don't know why I want to say Matthews, because McDavid is just that special of a player, but it's almost like Austin Matthews, not that he is a more well-rounded player, but he comes off as a more well-rounded player. He comes off as more of a, the NHL guy, the guy that's going to go in there and do what needs to get done, versus, I mean, McDavid is just the highlight reel guy.
He is.
And it's not to say that he's not a team guy, but it just seems that the NHL likes to pick players that, make everybody around them better. And it's kind of like the Connor McDavid show up in Canada.
But honestly, if you're going based off that, I'd say Igor is the number one person that makes everyone around him better, because he put the team on his back for 3 months.
Absolutely. It's just I can't see them picking a goalie. I think he's a shoo-in for the Vezina. But
no doubt.
I don't see them taking a goalie this year.
I think this is going to be the year that they take a goalie.
I would love to see it. I'm not saying it's not well-deserved, because, of course, it's well-deserved. But
I just think if they actually go based on the Hart Trophy requirements of being the most valuable player for a team and in the league, I think Igor has both of those.
Yeah, but they hate the Rangers, and they're not going to help James Dolan get any more clout.
I will say they hate the Rangers, but the NHL loves seeing Igor Shesterkin perform the way he does, because the only player that they ever post about on any social media is Igor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a shot. I think there's a
there's definitely a great shot. I think all three guys. I wouldn't be surprised either way if any of them, if any one of those three get that Hart Trophy. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would say I would be, out of those three, I would be a little more on the edge of surprised if they gave it to Igor, considering he's a goalie and the type of years that Matthews and McDavid had.
See, I'd be a little more shocked if they gave it to McDavid, honestly, because like you said, McDavid is a highlight reel guy, and he had an insane playoff, and so did Igor, obviously. But I think that the league absolutely loves Austin Matthews, because I gotta admit, he's a pretty humble guy. I'm not gonna say I gotta say this too. His mustache doesn't say he's humble, because he just looks like an asshole.
I love it.
But he's the more well-rounded player between him and McDavid, because McDavid is strictly offense. I mean, if you see his defense, he plays average at best defense for the NHL level. Austin Matthews, when he's playing defense, he reminds me of like a Frank Patrano or a Barclay Goodrow, making those plays when you don't expect him to.
He goes hard both ends of the ice.
Absolutely. And
he wants to block a shot as much as he wants to pick up that puck and score.
And McDavid, he's solely set on offense, that when he gets defeated offensively, you can even see his facial expressions. I don't know if you guys look at stuff like that, but you see his facial expression. Yeah. He just looks beat on. And I got to give the guy credit for caring that much about his team and about the game of hockey, because there's a lot of players out there that don't give a fuck. They're just I saw a lot of players this year that they're acting like the NFL, where it's just like, I'm getting paid, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid, I'll never forget last season, where I'm fairly confident. I think his team, they're on defense, and there's just like 5 guys on one side of the net. And the other guys and the offense is spread out, and you just see McDavid actually there's 4 guys on one side of the net, and you just see McDavid off to the side
floating.
What are we doing?
He reminds me of Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is a one-dimensional player. He's a talented kid. I'll give him that, but one-dimensional player.
How many playoff points does he have?
Goose
Less
egg.
than Igor.
Oh, okay, cool.
Goose egg.
Just want to make sure.
Hey, Biz, if you're listening too, Igor still has more than you.
Easily. Jesus. I mean, the fact that we have to even discuss that guy and the NHL in the same statement, it's like, stop it. I give more credit to the dude that tried to fight Ty Domi, over the glass in the penalty box. He gets more credit. He's heart and soul more of a hockey guy than Bizinet.
I don't understand how he landed that job. I don't.
Dude, it's funny because, and it's not that I dislike, Ryan Whitney and the two of them together. Their podcast is very entertaining, and they put together good content.
Spit and Chicklets before all that shit, and it has nothing to do with Rangers shit. It's just the guy was a clown.
Yeah,
you're not going to call arguably the best fan base in the league Fugazis. You don't do that.
Not at all.
He should know that.
Especially when every team he tries to root for just is the jinx and a half.
Mush.
He is the total mush. But even Whitney, I mean, really, if you look at Whitney's career, it's nothing
not
special.
That great.
It's not that great. It's just so the way these guys riff on hockey, I get it. They're the ex players for Barstool, so they get that easy credibility. But it's like, the fact that you have Bissonnette sitting next to Gretzky talking hockey, like as if they're in the same realm of fucking hockey.
But
it's
the thing
he
that
couldn't
really
shine his fucking shoes.
The thing that really pisses me off about them is they always try to base their credibility on the fact that they played hockey. And then if you look at guys like Gretzky, that he doesn't have to say that.
Nothing.
You don't like all of us. We never played professional hockey. I can barely ice skate. I'll tell you that right now. But you're basically what you're saying is that anyone who didn't play hockey ever in their life has zero credibility, whether they know the game or not.
Essentially.
And honestly, that's taking a shot at your fan base too. It is. Because anyone listening is just like, oh, well, I guess I know nothing.
Right. Do you really think you're the end all be all?
I can skate. I can't stop.
No, you
not
can't.
Anymore.
I can make it around the rink without falling.
I used to be able to stop, and then I dislocated my kneecap when I was 16, and I just lost it.
I'm better on blades roller blades than I am. I'm more of a roller hockey player than ice hockey. I played ice hockey my whole life, but I was
a lacrosse player, so
nice. So
lacrosse is just running a hockey.
I was a goalie, so it's a little different because it's the only sport where the goalie wears less pads than everyone else in the field.
I forget what it was, but somebody shared it on Twitter, and I caught a glimpse of it. I was college, obviously, but the goalie came out of the net and just wrecked somebody in the midst of making a save. And
that was my signature.
I was like, oh, that's tremendous.
No,
I was like, he just laid wood. The dude's looking up at the ball coming in, and the goalie's like, no, I'm taking the ball and your head.
So I'm probably the only kid that ever did this, because I grew up obviously a diehard hockey fan.
You take your cleat off and try to stab somebody?
I was just going to say it. God damn it. You beat me to it.
No, but I used to go out in the yard and practice taking my gloves off, like dropping my gloves and ripping my helmet off and ready to fight.
Nice.
I used to always do that. I was like, one day is going to come.
I feel like take a hockey stance on a lacrosse field, you're just going to look weird. You're like a fighting leprechaun.
Absolutely. Well, leprechaun, definitely. 5'6".
It's funny. I remember kids, and even going into men's league, people doing that, like goofing around and playing around with dropping their gloves and stuff like that. And
look around.
All the times I've dropped the gloves, like never once did I ever think like I hated fighting, but if it had to get done, it wasn't even. There's no thought behind it. There's no thought behind like, all right, I'm going to fight. It's like somebody takes a cheap shot at somebody. It's like, it's my turn. I guess I got to go. If nobody else is going to answer for it, I'm going to answer the bell. Or somebody drives hard to the net and it's like, I'm the first one standing there. So it's on me. I don't have a choice. And it's never went to the rink looking for a fight. And some kids like got off on that. Like, oh, you got to drop your gloves like this. And it's funny, especially in men's league, people be like, in the locker room, you goof around, you play helmets and gloves, you beat the shit out of each other, grab each other, you get in that hockey thing, like Ryan Reeves was teaching one of the young kids earlier in the season. How to grab, and get on top of the shoulder, especially the hand they're going to throw with and stuff and hold it down. In men's league, when you start going, it's just like a drunken brawl. You just try to get your licks in as soon as possible, and because the refs are jumping on both of you. So there's no like real like grab shoulder, tuck in, and like kind of like just try to get a little room and sneak an uppercut in. No, it's just you skate up and you throw a wild right and then just try to grab the back of the guy's head and bring him down low for a follow-up right before you both go to the ice and they break it up.
So speaking of fighting, just a quick question for you guys. I basically just a yes or no question. Do you think Reeves fought enough this year for what he was brought up for?
No.
Same boat. Absolutely not.
I definitely don't think he fought a lot this year, but in a lot of instances, I don't feel like it was necessary. Like the threat of fighting sometimes is enough
The entire team stepped up and fought this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to Nick's point, I think the Reeves intimidation factor was enough. Just
Yes.
him being present. I think that he didn't goon it up this year. I think that he was just trying to be a team player, and he fit in very well with the kind of team mentality that they had going. He didn't want to be the guy to take a bad penalty, but the fact that he was there, and if somebody was looking for a fight, he has no problem dropping them and giving you what you want. It's just nobody in this league wants to drop him with him.
Except for that one rookie.
Dude, it's not going to end well.
And he killed him.
Yeah, it's not going to go well for you. And I think that Reeves just being there was enough. Would I have liked to see more dropping of the gloves from Reeves? Of course, because you know he's going to win. It's going to be entertaining as shit. And that's the type of hockey I really enjoy. Like, you love those scrappy games. And I will say this. I think the Rangers had more fights in previous years without Reeves on the team. And all of a sudden, there was no more fights coming. As far as random scrums that turn into a brawl, you weren't having them this year because you knew Reeves was going to get in on it. Or Reeves was going to take your number and be like, okay, you want to go after Kakko? You want to go after Lafreniere? No problem. I'll grab you now. You're a fighter now, right? You want to go? I'll go with you. That's what I'm here for, right?
But you want to scrap? We'll scrap.
I think Trouba had more fights this year than Reeves. And I would say 90% of that was because of a good hit. And then now he has to fight somebody because, I murdered that dude with a clean hit. So now I have to fight. Okay. This is what the NHL
came
is.
Through and the guy was standing on the tracks.
Yeah.
That's what I really hated about Game 6, scratching him after Lafreniere. And anyone who thinks that Steven Stamkos beat the piss out of Lafreniere, you're wrong. Because number one, it was over because Steven Stamkos brought him down.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that dude had to fight a 20-year-old to prove his point. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've watched it 100 times.
Oh, yeah. Stamkos spits on him.
He spit on him. And
100%. I was kind of irritated by that.
Have Reeves go up to that motherfucker and say, oh, you're a big guy now, huh? You want to fight a 20-year-old to fight me?
I said that. I said at the very least with Reeves, he should have lined up right next to Stamkos and said, you're either going or I'm making you go. And if you turtle up, I'm not stopping. And there's no one that's going to get me off. Because that's the type of statement you need to make. Like, dude, you spit on somebody. And I also said, I would not fault Laugh at all is if he came out in Game 6 and fucking two-handed Stamkos behind the knee and just jumped on him, pounded on him. And when he got the 10, 20-game suspension, went right to the podium after the game and said, you know what? The NHL brought this on themselves. You spit on me on live TV. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed me as a man on live TV. And because it's Steven Stamkos, the NHL won't do anything about it. And now I have to take it into my own hands. You did this to yourselves. And he would not be wrong at all. And I guarantee you, if he went to arbitration, he could be like, this is every instance in the last 10 years of dirty plays like licking somebody with Marchand or spitting in somebody's face, and they've all resulted in fucking 10-game suspensions. Yet this dude does it to me, but because he's Steven Stamkos, it's not allowed. And I guarantee you, if you get some kind of outside arbitration, this dude lawyers up, he would have won that case 100% of the time because it's clear as day he spit on him. And that's just, dude, you do not do that. A man does not do that to another man unless he's like, you got to expect that guy's going to get up and try to murder you. That's the ultimate sign of disrespect. If you're challenging
somebody to a duel to the death. Like,
yeah, right. It's essentially the ultimate sign of disrespect.
It's like slapping somebody with a glove.
Yeah, Stamkos does it because he knows he can get away with it because the league's going to protect him.
I got to give a big shout out to Laugh just for his chippiness this playoff.
Mm-hmm.
He showed that he'll do anything for this fucking team.
Yes.
And regardless of what his stats are next year, that's all I can fucking ask for anybody. Any player that ever plays for the Rangers, whether we suck or not, if you're showing that you'll do anything for those guys on the ice, and you'll do anything to prove that we're not to be fucked with, especially after the whole Tom Wilson broke the Rangers bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
coming out of your first round pick. Coming out of your young guy, your guy that's still learning.
Exactly. And
he learned pretty quickly.
What was your guys' opinion on the Lafreniere Hedman hit?
Which one?
When he clipped him?
So he's not going for the head. He completely misses a check. It's obvious he completely missed a check and kind of leaned his body that way to try to catch a piece of Hedman, and he missed. Did he catch him in the jaw? Yeah. Was it devastating? No, it wasn't.
Hedman
Is it
was a total bitch about it?
100%?
Did I think
He's
it
trying
should
to
have
draw a call?
Did I think it should have been called? Maybe.
No, listen, I would want that call if it happened to one of our guys.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think, listen, he made contact to the head. It's a penalty. But the way Twitter blew up about it, like it was the dirtiest cheap shot ever, he missed a fucking check. You're watching it on slow motion and him catching the edge of his chin. Watch it on regular live speed, and he literally is going for a body check, and he misses.
Pain-wise, it can't be more than a high
It's that
stick.
simple.
Pain-wise, it can't be more than a high stick.
No.
I thought Hedman breaking his stick, freaking the fuck out. That just shows the mentality of Tampa. Like, I understand they won back-to-back COVID Cups. If they win this year, I'll probably shut the fuck up, but I'm never going to say that they didn't win COVID Cups. They did. It was a shortened season, and it's not a real hockey season. Like, I'll say it live on air right now, whether you guys disagree with me or not. They're 2 COVID Cups, and that just shows them and you know this team feels so beyond entitled when they're on the ice that they are so quick to go to the ref with anything.
Everything.
Anything.
They're like the Patriots, bro. They're like the Patriots under Tom Brady. They're the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers just whining to the ref every time.
Yeah. I'd say they're more Aaron Rodgers than Tom Brady because, I mean, I give all the credit to Tom Brady. And I hate Tom Brady because I'm a Jets fan. Yeah.
But I have nothing against Tom Brady's skills. I mean, he earned everything he got. There's some
flopper. But he's a fucking flopper.
Yeah.
So is Igor.
I think every goalie is a little bit. I mean, come on. Look at Marty Brodeur every time Avery got anywhere near him.
Exactly. And you know what? I give Igor credit for that because you know what? He's playing.
Yeah, play the game.
That dude's mentality is that I have 3 rings already. And he's playing like that with 0 rings. And I absolutely love it because I'm not discrediting Hank at all, but he was just too much of a good guy when it came to calls.
Yeah.
And I love him. I love him, and I hate him for that.
I don't want Igor to be another Hank, another stellar goalie that we can't get a championship ring on his finger.
So if you guys ever replay this podcast when the Rangers are making another run, make sure you replay me saying this. Igor will not be the next Hank, and Igor will be holding the cup. If it's not next year, it'll be the year after. I'm calling it right now.
Speaking of holding the cup,
I hope so.
I saw something the other day. I saw something the other day, yesterday or today, that said when the Rangers do win a Stanley Cup, it won't be Kreider passing the cup over to Zabana. They'll be holding it together. And again, it was a fan speaking to the brotherhood that is the New York Rangers right now. We have a comment from Anthony. TJ is hiding the guns. Boo.
Let's see him.
They're deflated today. They're definitely a little deflated today.
Anybody who doesn't know this, TJ is so jacked. He took a swing with his sim. All right, his tailor-made sim, and it exploded.
I went to the range today, Dave. I was hitting my driver, playing golf tomorrow. Got a nice Father's Day golf weekend coming up this weekend, playing 2 of the nicest courses in New Jersey. Go to the range to button up my drives, which have been leaking out to the right. Slicing, if you will, with my buddy Dave Baggs. Shout out to Dave Baggs, another military guy. And all of a sudden, I hit the ball dead on the face, and we hear a pop, and my driver came apart.
Happy Gilmore.
And it's a year and a half old.
Happy Gilmore 2.0.
Exploded. And I was like, son of a bitch, I don't have $600 to buy a new fucking driver.
And you should have looked at the people behind you and said, never, this is my first time.
Yeah. Dude, the guy next to me was staring at me like I did something wrong. I was like, I don't know what happened, dude. Like, it broke. I swung it, and it went pop.
Anthony also said, from our account, tell me you didn't shed a tear when Kreider cried during his exit interview when talking about Mika.
I seen that clip. I honestly, I don't want to be a dick, but I got like a little douche chilly about it. Like, kind of like Terrell Owens, like, that's my quarterback. It bothered me a little bit. It's like, dude, hold it together. Like, it sucks.
He didn't die.
Yeah, but I appreciate you taking it so hard, but where the fuck were you guys? Because you died. You gave up. The heart was gone. And it was obvious. Not that they gave up, but the energy wasn't there and they slowed down.
Nick, do you want to be honest about my reaction?
Yeah, let's hear that.
Made me feel better about myself for crying after the game. Because let me tell you right now, this is how it went. I stared blankly at the TV. I turned it off. I went in the other room. My girlfriend's staring at me and like she's looking like, oh God, what do I do? I went in my room fighting tears because I was just like, I'm 23 years old. I can't do this. I can't do this. This is like, it's not acceptable anymore. I'm hanging up all my jerseys because I had them all laid out like throughout the entire postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hanging them up, just fighting tears. She walks in. She says, hey. And I said, get away. I don't want you to see me like this. And then I walk in my living room and I take down my flag, fold it up. Like, I'm not being like angry or anything. And then I call my dad.
Fold it into a fucking triangle?
Well, yeah, I did actually. And I call my dad. I said, hey. And he goes, you all right? And I was like, no, I cried. And he goes, you're a 23-year-old man. He was like,
you're a United States Marine, for Christ's sake.
And then he says, but it's okay.
That's probably the more mature route. I walked around my house just fucking punching shit. I was slamming things. My wife was telling me to grow up, and I was like, you grow up.
Well, no, I could hear her in my head.
The next day, I texted my family group chat, and I said, Christina witnessed 15-year-old Dave. And then she texted back, because she's in it, and she said, it was pathetic. And I was like, wait, what?
See, I have no qualms with you shedding a tear over that. It's something to value. I mean, dude, I thought I was a bitch when I shed a tear when Tiger Woods won the Masters in what was it, 2019, 2018?
When he hugged his son?
When he hugged his son, and I'm like,
that was you imagining sharing that moment with your son. That's acceptable.
Like it not only that, like the full circle that it's not his dad. His dad's not there anymore to give him that hug after a victory. Now he's the dad, and he's like hugging his son, and it's just that got me bad. Like
but that's understandable. My team losing in the East Conference Final, I have no excuse for that.
It's frustrating. Those are tears of frustration because it's not easy to get there. I mean, look at the Islanders. The Islanders went all the way to the finals, and they shit the bed this year with essentially this exact same team.
And so the thing is too is like if they were down 3-0 and that was game 4 and then they lost that game, I probably would have been more pissed off than I was upset. But I just wasn't ready to give this season up. I wasn't. I think every Ranger fan can agree that this season was really hard to give up because it was the most fun. It was the most fun season I've ever had.
Dude, the excitement level was through the fucking roof. I mean, we were down in Atlantic City for my birthday when we moved on to against the Hurricanes, and I mean, sitting in the Irish pub in AC with a whole bunch of people that are not into hockey, and asking the guy like 7 times to put on the hockey game, and he's like, "Oh, is it on regular TV?" It's like, dude, yeah, it's on basic cable. Let's go, put it on. And I mean, we scared the shit out of everybody when they scored, and
including those Scottish guys from North Carolina.
Yeah, those guys were cool as shit.
Scottish, right? I'm not crazy.
They were
right?
Scottish. They were from Scotland, off the boat. I don't know why would you end up in AC. I mean, that's like a trip gone wrong, but it's like, yeah, guys, there's a lot more to see in this country than Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's like you guys started at the butthole.
Absolutely.
It's like it only goes up from here, gentlemen.
I feel like I was in the right place at the right time to experience that loss. And the only reason I say that is because I was so angry about where I was and what I was doing that when they lost, I got disgusted, and I was like, just one more fucking thing. I just turned it off. And I went to sleep because I had to wake up in 4 hours.
I hear you, dude.
It was definitely a tough one, mainly because I had to go to work the next day and face it.
I was just angry. Like I know I have anger issues, and I'm not a well-adjusted adult, but like
Paul O'Neill,
just angry, dude, because it's like, fuck Tampa, fuck their fans. Not angry enough to sucker punch one of their fans leaving the Garden. I was not into that at all. I mean, Rangers fans can talk shit like, oh, that dude was clearly talking stuff and fuck him. And like, yeah, talking stuff is talking stuff, but to sucker punch somebody, that's never cool. You're ruining the integrity of sports because no fan should be worried about going into the enemy's territory and having to worry about getting fucking assaulted or a beer thrown on them. I absolutely hate that shit. 110%. I hate that shit. I have no problem with a good, lively bullshitting and ribbing each other and just shitting on each other with a smile on my face. I will give you shit if you give me shit, and back and forth, no problem. It will never get angry. It will be funny. And you keep it that way. I love going to Yankee Oriole games in Camden because Oriole fans are awesome fans. You get a crab cake out of the friggin' drive, which is always amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And Camden Yards is a beautiful ballpark.
Natty
I really
Bo.
like Camden. And their fans have no problem giving Yankee fans shit in good fun. I have no problem with just going back and forth with you in good fun. But when you have to assault somebody because they won.
It's the same thing with Mets and Yankees fans.
Yeah.
And there should be a mutual respect between fans. There should be.
We have a guest. I'd like to welcome Kenny Powers to the podcast.
Oh, what's going on?
Hi, boys. How you doing? I know it's not going well. Talk a little New York Rangers hockey. It sucks. I just want to say I was laughing before about Dave being a 23-year-old man. His dad saying that to him. Listen, you're diehard. I appreciate the tears. It's the same way you were when you were 15 years old and they lost the Stanley Cup. You said you cried your eyes out too. So,
what
else do you expect? But it was funny.
By the way, I forgot you weren't going to be on tonight. I'm wearing an Iceman jersey.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. But it's funny, TJ was talking about how your wife was like, are you going to be this upset the entire time? My wife was like, can you stop calling everyone a scumbag? Stop yelling at the TV.
If they would just stop being scumbags, you wouldn't have to call them that.
I was like, yeah, if they weren't scumbags, I wouldn't call them scumbags.
Listen,
you guys had words. I had no words.
My father is one of the nicest, jovial gentlemen in the world. He is an absolute sweetheart. But he was born and raised in Manhattan on the streets of Hell's Kitchen in Chelsea. He's been through the shit. You know what I mean? He's seen some crap, but always raised me right and always raised me to like, dude, let shit go. It's not worried about getting, don't worry about getting all bent out of shape and stuff like that. And after that game where Laugh gets spit on and Lingard's leaving the ice bloodied, and I'm like, somebody should come out and fucking just two-hand Stamkos, fuck him. And my father's like 100%. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, I turned him to the dark side. He's got a red lightsaber and everything now.
Embrace the dark side. Unleash the hate.
Turned him. Dude, he was like, yeah, fuck all of them. So why is Reeves not on the bench right now? How is he not there? You got Reeves ending every game. The last 2 minutes, Reeves is out there to alleviate that bullshit at the end of the game. And all of a sudden, Reeves isn't there, and they take full fucking advantage at the end of the game. And then you don't start Reeves game 6? What a fucking idiot. And I'm like, yes. Yes.
Amazing. Big
yes,
Tom.
feel the hate.
Tom. Yeah, let the hate flow through you. Oh, God.
Yes.
But I wanted to stop in and say hi.
What up, Rook?
How old is that hat?
This is the 4th of July hat from like
2016.
Probably, yeah. Actually, I think it might be. Yeah, it is 2016. Because I wore.
Speaking of that, I have a 4th of July hat, 4th of July Mets hat from 2006.
Wow, that's
nice.
And it's the firework hat.
Yeah, the only problem with that, no problem with that. It's a Mets hat.
I was smiling, and then he said Mets hat, and I was like,
see, you know what's funny is I love giving Mets fans shit, but I was at just as many games at Shea Stadium as I was at Yankee Stadium as a kid, and I don't hate the Mets. I dislike Met fans that talk shit because it's like, what do you have? Why are you talking shit?
All right.
I don't.
But let's go back to talk about the
Rangers. But hold on, no. We continue because Dave, you being a Met fan, do you honestly?
All right, I'll see you guys
do you
later.
think later, Rook?
I just started shit, and now I'm gonna leave. Peace, boys.
Fair enough. Do you
Peace out,
think,
guys.
like,
See
the
you.
fact that Met fans will sit here in New York and be like, New York City is the Mets town. The Yankees are the second-class citizens. Like, that statement alone is like, dude, what?
Okay, no, I don't agree with that because it's going back to the same Rangers Islanders. At the end of the day, it kind of is. You can't disagree with that because as a Rangers fan, you got Islanders fans saying, "Oh, we won 4 straight cups, great." But at the end of the day, you got to also recognize who real baseball fans are. And I'm not going to say that Yankee fans aren't real baseball fans. I know they are. Yankee fans.
There's a lot of fake Yankee fans. I will agree.
Okay. Being in the military, I've met people from probably 15 different states that claim they're Yankee fans. And they're not from New York.
If you go to California,
I've never met
they have a wall for LA hats. They have a wall for like, it's LA, then it'll be like wherever you are. So if you're in NorCal, it'll be LA, Oakland, San Fran, Yankees. And it'll be like 3 walls of Yankee hats. Oh, and then of course, apparently on the West Coast, they wear Washington Nationals hats because the W stands for West Coast. Wild.
Is that Tupac? Is that a Tupac thing?
I guess so. When I went there, I was like, why do you guys have 8,000 Washington Nationals hats in 55 colors? They were like, West Coast. And they said it to me like I was fucking stupid.
So
I
was
was
going back to what you were saying. I got nothing against Yankees fans from New York, but one of my best friends, he's from Colorado, and the only Colorado team he roots for is the Avalanche, and that was because we all started watching hockey. They all started watching hockey this year, and it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah, I it's funny because you talk about traveling fans, and my brother-in-law had me hysterical laughing because he was telling me how he went to a he's a diehard Dolphins fan, born and raised Brooklyn, New York City guy, and he's a Dolphins fan. And he was telling me how he went down to Miami for a game, and they were playing the Cowboys, and he's like, I get stuck up in the bleachers, like all the way up top, like in the nosebleeds, with a whole bunch of Cowboy fans behind me. He goes, and dude, they're all like across the border Mexicans that barely speak English. He goes, and they're all rocking Cowboys jerseys, and they're like, yes, the Cowboys. He's like, dude, what? He goes, what the fuck is this? He goes, dude, even people from other countries just automatically jump on a Cowboys bandwagon, America's team. He's like, get the fuck out of here. He said it ruined the trip to Miami.
Well,
He's a Dolphins fan because of Ace Ventura, isn't he?
He's a Dolphins fan because of Don Shula and all that shit and the perfect team and all that. But it's just he hates the fucking Cowboys. And of course, he gets stuck behind people that like don't know football at all. Their football is played with a round ball, and they're Cowboy fans.
Well, yeah. Speaking of football and New York football, I think we can collectively agree as Jets and Giants fans that it's not looking bright for the near future.
I think the Jets have a bright future ahead of them. I think they have a lot of room to grow. And I think this year is going to be one of those years where we might be pleasantly surprised. And if Zach Wilson grows and can be the quarterback that we saw in spurts this year, I think that we are going to be one of those teams to going forward that is when they break down at the end of the year, like most improved team or team of the future, I think the Jets are going to be in that conversation. But it all depends on what goes on this year. And I mean, last year started with a shitty, run of injuries and guys out for the entire season. That definitely put a dent in us. And the fact that we again had to start a brand new quarterback fresh out of college and say, hey, welcome to the big boy leagues. That 400-pound guy, he can run a 440 faster than, the kids that you went to high school that weighed 150 pounds ran track. So good luck. Don't get hit by them.
Yeah.
And your O-line sucks. Sorry. So I think in that conversation, and not to be biased, I think the Giant fans have less to look forward to with Daniel Jones again at the helm. I think they know that. I think they're pissed off about that. I heard today somebody say on Twitter, they asked, what's one player you'd like to see back? And the dude literally said, I want Eli Manning back. Holy fuck, get rid of Daniel Jones. It's like, oh my God.
Well,
really?
I got to disagree because I don't discredit Daniel Jones at all because he's had 3 offenses in 4 years. Show me one quarterback that has succeeded with that. Yeah, I don't think he's actually gotten a shot yet, and I think Brian Daboll is a whole different. He's got a whole different league of coaches compared to Pat Shurmur and.
Dude, he bought into the
and
New York
Coach.
attitude. I fucking appreciate his support with the Rangers, 100%.
Yeah, and I think Kayvon Thibodeau is our best draft pick since
Definitely.
Barkley, and I think the fact that Brian Daboll wants Saquon Moore as a receiver this year, and if you look at his stats as a receiver, as long as he's not injured, he's a damn good running back. He's a damn good receiver. So as a Giants fan, I'm excited, but at the end of the day, Sundays, or if the Rangers are playing and the Giants are playing, I'm watching the Rangers.
Yeah, I hear you, dude. And thank God we only have about 2 months left to worry about anything else other than Rangers preseason. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Avalanche absolutely kicking the shit out of Tampa Bay. I'm looking forward to them putting up.
Do your thing, Cal McCarr and Nate McKinnon.
I'm looking forward to them putting up 8 or 9 goals a night against Vasilevsky and taking advantage of that blocker high side, because every one of those sons of bitches have been shooting that not only on the ice at practice, they've been shooting that shot in their dreams. They know where to go with that puck. And it's just going to be a pick apart kind of game, just a fast paced game. I think the Rangers wore them out a little bit. As bad as the Rangers played down the stretch and the effort wasn't there, I think we still wore them out physically. And I think the Avalanche has the edge just talent wise. And then going into it, I think the Avalanche not playing as physical of a series, being West Coast rather than East Coast, getting to the finals, I think the Avalanche is going to cruise in, if not 4, in 5.
What do you think, Nick? What are your predictions?
I think the Avalanche win. They've had the rest.
I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna take a break real quick. These summer shanties are getting to me.
All right,
I'll be right
back. Go offload, sir.
So I think the Avalanche win it. I mean, I was nervous when the Rangers were going to play the Avalanche. I was like, damn.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was happy about that. I would just be happy to get to the finals.
We struggled with them this season.
Everybody struggles with them. They're an elite team. They score. They score it
very good. I'm more concerned for this city of Denver and state of Colorado if they do win, because we've seen what happens there when the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup. They burn the city down in a fit of joy. So I'm a little worried about that, but hopefully, with them passing.
Luckily, they're at elevation, so the fires don't burn as hot.
Yeah, hopefully, the legalization of marijuana has calmed them to some degree, and instead of burning the city down, they just spark a doob and just enjoy that. But I think Colorado wins probably about 5 games. The way they've been playing, I could see them winning in 5.
I think everybody in the league since the All-Star break has known that the Avalanche was Stanley Cup bound. And that train is just going downhill on an icy track with no brakes. You know what I mean? They're pulling it back to the Future 3. They're sending it off the friggin' ravine. And they're not stopping. It's just, dude, and as much as I hate Tampa, you cannot shit on that team. That team is a great team. They have a massive amount of talent, but the Avalanche have more. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good, finals, but I cannot see Tampa pulling it out. I just don't. And I hope they don't, because I don't think their fans fucking deserve any more wins. They're fake bullshit fair weather fans.
Your fans, air quotes. Fans.
People that show up because, they have nothing better to do in Tampa. You go to the beach during the day and you go to a hockey game at night. But I think we fucking covered the spectrum, gentlemen. I think it's time to just run down the Rangers players, playoffs, give everybody, an A to F rating. Roster, starting roster down. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
All right, so we will start at the top with Mika Zabana. Played 20 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points. His plus minus is even at 0, and he had 4 penalty minutes. And I'm going to say I think Mika had his lulls. A couple games were like, where the fuck is Zabana? But overall, the performance he had, the way he stepped up, the games they won because of him putting in that Mika magic. I'm going to give him an A.
Yeah, I was thinking the same way. I'm gonna give him an A- just because he was missing for those first 4 games against the Penguins, just like completely not there. His whole line really was just
for both
MIA.
lines, both 2 lines, first and second line.
MIA, not putting up much, not much to write home about. And honestly, and as I said earlier, I feel like playing all those game 7s, it really took a toll on him. And if somebody like Zabana shows up earlier in those first 2 series, maybe you don't go to game 7, So I'll give him an A-. He did show up eventually, but he really needed to be more consistent and definitely earlier on in the series.
So based on the playoffs, just how he ended up showing up, he ended up being a huge factor. And I think basically the reason the Rangers advanced, because he was scoring key goals. He was there making key passes, and he was also a defensive forward when he needed to be. Playoffs, I'm going to give him an A. Regular season, just because he didn't show up in the beginning of the year, that is where the minus comes in. I'm going to give him an A- because he was still, again, you can't value, like, it's like what Valaquette says about him coming from Ottawa, when one team's trash becomes another team's treasure, and that's exactly what he did this year. He proved it this year, and he's just proved it ever since he came to the Rangers, scoring 5 goals in a game. First Ranger to ever do that, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm giving him an A for the playoffs and an A- for the regular season.
All right. Moving on to Foxy Adam Fox. He had 20 games played, 5 goals, 18 assists, 23 points. Plus minus is 0 even, and 2 penalty minutes. He just based on those points, I want to give him an A, but there were situations where he didn't show up, and it was evident, and it cost the team. And I mean, the same as Zibanejad, that plus minus being 0 with the amount of 24 points. Fox being a defenseman, playing the amount of minutes he played a lot more minutes than Zibanejad, out there a lot. And I guess you could say that's more to his credit. But the fact that with 23 points and still having an even, plus minus rating, and the way he was beat in the games that he didn't show up, I'm going to give him a B+. I think he could have been better.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I give him a B+. There were times where I was like, "Where is he?" Just completely forgot he was on the ice, and for him to have a Norris type season as he did last year, to kind of like forget that he was playing is not good. I mean, again, 23 points is nothing to sneeze at. He played well, but not up to his capability.
And isn't that amazing? Because if I told you that a Rangers defenseman was going to have 23 points in the playoffs in the postseason, I mean, shit, I'd give my left pinky toe for that. So, but it's just when he's not on, it's evident because he's a stud. When he's there, you know it. And there were games that he just was a no-show.
So I completely get where the B+ is coming from, because I did notice a lot of plays where he was turning the puck over, and he just wasn't there on times that he needed to be there. Regular season, I'm giving him an A, just because I thought he was phenomenal this year. And as far as Norris goes, it's not that he was worse; it's that other players were better.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Roman Josi, that dude was an absolute stud this year. 100%. He's my pick for the Norris. But playoffs, I mean, those 23 points, he those aren't handed to him.
No, absolutely not.
He did whatever he could to get those. And when he needed to be there, I can probably count on 2 fingers because I can remember 2 plays that actually both came up in the Tampa series, because I thought he was an absolute stud through Carolina and Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he started turning the puck over until the Tampa series started, because I think at the end of the day, this whole team just ran out of gas. So for the playoffs, I'm going to give him an A-.
Fair enough.
And so basically an A- across the board.
Okay. No, and it's not that I don't, disagree with you, because that's a fair assessment. Like I said, the points are tremendous. Only the 2 penalty minutes, considering as much ice time as he had, is a statement in itself. He plays the game the right way. It's just, I think my B plus comes from the fact that you expect him to show up 110%, every game. And the games where he wasn't 110%, it affected the team. And
High expectations.
right. So the high expectations, I think, is where my B plus comes from. But on any other team, any other day, it's an A plus.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's like, look, it's like going into the playoffs with Derek Jeter and he bats 280.
right.
Great. That's great. I expected 330 though. So
I'm with you. Ninth inning and you're up with bases loaded, 2 outs. You're not getting out.
But you got to also remember he's one of those guys on this team and how young this team is that he's still really young and he's already won the Norris.
100%. Dude, there's not a defenseman in the league that I would trade him for.
Hot take, does his number get retired?
I think if he has a career like his career has been so far with the Rangers, and the Rangers are able to hold on to him for the rest of his career and make him, better than, Brian Leetch, essentially. Not that Brian Leetch did anything wrong, but, moved on, obviously, for money reasons and went to the Leafs. But I think if the Rangers can hold on to him for the rest of his career, 100%. I think he's that type of player.
You said
that type of player. So we go to Mr. Chris Kreider. 20 games played, 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points, -1 plus minus, and 14 penalty minutes. Kreider was another guy that when he wasn't playing up to expectation was an absolute ghost. When he played like the Kreider that played, the A+ Kreider that played all season long, because he was an A++ player this year for the Rangers in the regular season. One of the best players in the league, I would say easily top 3 in the league as far as, an offensive player for the regular season. It was glaring how in your face it was when he just wasn't there and playing up to par. With that being said, I think for the playoff run, it's a B. The games he showed up in and the games that they won, he was a factor. The games that they lost, it was like he wasn't even there.
Yeah, so with Kreider, it's a tough one because I can at least give him credit for showing up when he needed to. But a lot of people say that he showed up when we needed him to. These people that are saying that need to realize that a playoff game is a playoff game, and we need you to show up every night for a playoff game.
There's no excuses.
Regular season, the guy was an absolute unit on the
Stud.
ice. He was feared by every goalie that he faced. Feared. And the guy has never scored 30 goals in his life, and he scores 52 this year. If you would, I'm pretty sure every Rangers fan, if they had asked you, or if they have told you that Kreider was going to score 52 goals this year, personally, I would have said, I love Kreider, but blow it out your ass. He's not scoring 52 goals this year. And he absolutely did that. Regular season, I'll give him an A. And the reason I say that is because there were nights that were similar to playoff games that when he wasn't there, it was very visible. And when guys like that don't show up for games, it takes a toll on your team. And the guy that I absolutely want to be the captain next year, the guy that sheds tears for this team, just like I did, I think no one else deserves to be the captain as far as playoffs go. I'm going to give him a B+ just because, at the end of the day, he was there in elimination games. And if he's not there, it's solely based on the fact that if he's not there, we're not winning.
Oh, no, 100%. And I think we could say that about a lot of guys on the team. It's just my B rating comes from the fact that if he shows up more and more consistently through the playoffs, the Rangers have a much easier time through the playoffs. And I think we're having a different conversation and getting amped up for a series against the Avalanche. It was just, he's so good that the inconsistencies are just too much in your face that when he's not showing up, you can tell. Excuse me. And it got to a point where he wasn't even getting in front of it. Sorry. Oh, dude. Bug just flew right in my freaking throat, I think. he just wasn't even getting in the crease anymore and getting in Vasilevsky's face. And it's not just on him because a lot of the Rangers weren't doing that, where Tampa Bay, that was kind of their game plan to get in Igor's face. It's just, how can you have, what did he have? Like 20 something of his goals were redirection tip-in goals. And you aren't getting that out of Kreider this playoff series.
26.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he wasn't establishing himself in front of the net like he did during the regular season. I'm gonna give him a B. His lack of performance really hurt a lot. Again, we played too many games, and him not performing at a level commensurate with what he did during the regular season is what caused that. So he gets a B for me.
All right. We can move on to our Temmie Panarin. 20 games played, 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points, -5 plus minus, and 8 penalty minutes. So Panarin, we don't know. We haven't gotten the report officially yet if he was injured or not, if what kind of injury he has.
We're not going to find out. It's the Rangers.
No, it's the I guess going rumor. It's the one that everybody's thinking of because, I mean, his game, the level of his game is completely different in the playoffs. So there's got to be a reason for it. I thought maybe it's just he wasn't adjusting to the speed of playoffs and the lack of room to make those plays that he's used to making. But I don't think that's it, because he was struggling to get pucks in the zone. He was struggling to get pucks out of his zone. He was making some really bad passes through the middle where there was absolutely no room to make them. And I understand, I've had this conversation with multiple people, that's his bread and butter. He gets those passes through. He threads the needle and creates scoring opportunities because there's always somebody hanging on the other side of the ice waiting for that puck and scoring easily on an empty net, unless you're Strome. But it's just those passes were not getting through, especially against the, Tampa Bay Lightning. If Panarin had more of a Panarin playoff run, I think the Rangers, again, have an easier time. I think we're having a different conversation right now. And I think I'm being generous with a B-. If he's playing hurt, I'll give him a B. But I expect so much more out of Temmie Panarin, and he's so much better than he played in the playoffs. And that -5 is tremendous because it essentially shows you that at times he was more of a detriment to the team than that star, you're not stopping me player. And if there was going to be a player in the Rangers playoff run that was going to be a carry the puck through the neutral zone, pretty much go coast to coast, it should have been Panarin, and he just couldn't do it. So I'm going with a B-.
That's really generous because I'm going to go with a C-. He was below average. An average player would produce somewhat where he did, but he gave away a lot. He had a hard time handling passes. He had a hard time carrying the puck. Like just across the blue line. I was astounded. I was like, this is the same guy. He's one of our best puck handlers on the team, and it's like he's giving it away every time he gets it. He's either missing a pass to him, missing on a one-timer. And when I say missing, I mean just whiffing, absolutely whiffing on one-timers.
Whiffing on getting the puck in the zone deep.
In my brain, immediately I was like F, and I'm like, nah, it's definitely not an F. But he played subpar, and not. When I say subpar, I don't mean subpar for him. I mean subpar for an average player.
The B-, I want to reiterate, is because I'm basing it on, I'm assuming he is injured.
I mean, if he's injured, then you limp or something. Fucking, we all know Lingard was injured, but he still played a tremendous game. So I'm giving him a C-. He's lucky I didn't give him a fucking D. That was awful. Like, it was just not good.
So yeah, Panarin's another tough one, just because the guy scored the quietest 96 points you've ever seen in NHL history, in my eyes. Because you watch NHL Network, you watch TSN, no one's talking about him ever.
I agree.
Ever. And he's one of the reasons that we even got into the playoffs. I mean, I know everyone doubted us, but we got our Temmie Panarin on the roster.
Dude took less money and said, fuck you to the Islanders. I'm not going to that shit organization. I'm coming to the Rangers.
Exactly. And Regular season, like as you guys know, I'm separating the two.
Mhm.
Regular season, the guy was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
His passing, I thought he was the second best passer in the NHL besides Austin Matthews. Because I think Austin Matthews is a great passer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's the best in the league. But so regular season, I give him an A. Playoffs, it's tough because Game 7 against Pittsburgh, the guy brought us to the promised land.
100%.
He brought us there, and he showed up. He literally showed up when we needed him the most.
I haven't felt that excitement, that level of excitement. And the funny thing is, it's another Atlantic City trip. The last time I felt that kind of excitement was when the Jets beat the Pats and Tom Brady in the playoffs. What year was that, Nick?
2010.
Yeah. Yeah, 10. And then they lost to the Colts.
Right.
Mark Sanchez, right?
Yep. I was also in Atlantic City in a different Irish pub. And that, I mean, oh my God. And watching the fake, shitty Pats fans, like, dude, you're from the tri-state area and you're wearing a Pittsburgh jersey, Patriots jersey. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, walk out in disgust. But I mean, we were down in Atlantic City and watching that goal and watching us get to the next level of the playoffs. That is, I mean, one of the all-time, excitement, like, holy shit, I'm riding on cloud 9.5 moments. But yeah, if only he had those type of goals throughout the playoffs.
DJ, can you read his stats for the playoffs one more time?
Yeah. It's obviously 20 games played. 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points, and -5 on the plus minus.
So, a guy scoring 16 goals or 16 points in 20 games in the regular season, everyone considered pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you put, it's just like John Cooper said, like, you take that and you put it in playoff games. It's tough to do, but I'm going to take that, and I'm going to also take that you're our Temmie fucking Panarin. This Rangers team expects you to do everything on the ice at all times.
Yeah.
So as far as the playoff go, I'm going to be a lot more generous than you guys were. I'm going to give him a B-.
That's what I said, yeah.
A B+ across the board for the entire season.
Okay.
Just because.
I mean, I think regular season he was an A easily.
I mean, TJ, I think me and you messaged about Panarin more than any other player, because I remember you referred to him having bricks on his hands than gloves.
Dude, it's just some of those passes, especially in the Pittsburgh series.
Yeah,
it just looked like he just couldn't, like, I'm thinking about Gordon Bombay with the eggs on the ice to, receive the pass, cradle it. He just was just,
yep.
And it was just all the momentum was just ricocheting, almost like it was a tip-in front of the net, yet he's trying to pick up the puck going through the neutral zone.
Yeah, it was he didn't show up when we needed to.
Yeah, but I still love Panarin. I still have a lot of love for that dude. And, if he is injured, the fact that he didn't let it get to him, I mean, just that alone, being a true hockey player, not making excuses for it, that's an A+ type of player. And that's a player I'm proud to have on my team and look forward to seeing for many years to come. So, but unfortunately in the playoffs, it wasn't there. And we needed to lean on him, maybe unfairly, and he didn't show up. So moving on, Andrew Kopp, 20 games played, 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 obviously points, and -2 on the +/- penalty minutes. Kopp, one of those guys we picked up at the deadline. For what we got out of him and what we expected him to be, and the fact that he played 20 games and he was, I would say 14 points makes him a pretty big factor for somebody that wasn't on the team for 80% of the year. I have no problem with what Kopp did and how Kopp played. A little bit invisible in the Tampa Bay series, but was still in everybody's face. I was dying laughing because I remember one scrum, he literally leaned into the dude and you could read his lips clear as day. It was like, what the fuck are you going to do? Nothing. Go. And I was like, oh God, I love it. So, I mean, I'm giving him a B+. I think You know what? Actually, I'm going to change that to an A. I'm going to change that to an A just because if you told me he was going to have 14 points in the playoffs at the start of the playoffs, I would tell you that's tremendous out of the type of player he is and the player we were getting and what we got, for the price I guess we paid, I want to say. I think that was a good effort. So I'm going to give him an A.
I concur. I'm not going to elaborate. You hit the nail on the head.
As far as regular season goes, he did, like, these trade deadline guys just blew me away. They really did. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that as Rangers fans at the trade deadline. And
I would say I'm like sitting there waiting for. So with all the moves that they were making, and the fact that we got Barkley Goudreau, I'm like, all right, this is shaping up to be like a 1994, like a Glenn Anderson, like get some playoff experience back there, and just somebody that's been there before. And then these young guys that we picked up for practically nothing, we kind of offloaded off of people, and the way they played down the stretch, and the fact that they were in every game. I mean, Kopp played every game of the playoffs. Tremendous moves by Drury.
Yeah. As far as the regular season goes, I'm going to give him an A. But I really didn't think he showed up at all after the Pittsburgh series. I thought he was, like, as far as my eyes go, I thought he was kind of invisible in the Carolina series and absolutely in the Tampa series. So I'm going to give him a B, and just a B plus across the board. Just because I understand he played every single game and he was probably exhausted out of his mind. And I'm not on the ice, but, you're a hockey player. It's your job.
Yep.
If someone doesn't show up for work, it's, it could hurt you.
Yep. There's going to be hell to pay. All right. So we got another guy picked up at the trade deadline, pretty much offloaded from the Florida Panthers. Frank Patrano, 20 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points, -1, and 13 penalty minutes. I'm giving Patrano an A+. I'm 110% confident in the A+, because there was never a moment, even in the shitty games, where he let up. He skated 110%. He didn't stop. There were spurts where, he was just flying and making phenomenal plays. But out of the type of caliber player that we were picking up, essentially letting Florida unload him to us to clear up cap space for picking up Giroux at the end and trying to go on their run that fizzled out quick. I think that he was a stud pickup, a young player, skated hard the entire time. I cannot think of a moment where I was sitting there thinking, dude, Patrano, what the fuck are you doing? Get involved in the play. Get to the boards first. Get to the puck first. What are you doing? He skated hard, and he gave it everything he got. And I think for the type of player he is, his talent level, I think he exceeded expectations, and I have nothing bad to say about the kid.
I'm giving him an A.
Yeah, I give him an A. I just don't believe in A pluses. There's always room for improvement.
Except for Igor. I'm giving him A+ right now.
Oh, we'll get to Igor.
And then, Patrano, A across the board for regular season. What did he have? He had 13 straight games with a point when he got here. And then maybe cool down a little bit, but I think every player has a cool down period, and his cool down period was literally right before the playoffs. And then he stepped right into the playoffs, and he was absolute stud, scored key goals, had key assists. A, 100%.
All right. Next up, Philip Hedle, 20 games, 7 goals, 2 assists, 9 points, -2. Yeah. And 4 penalty minutes. I'm giving Hedle I'm stuck between a B+ and an A. A B+ because I'm going to stick with the B+, just because the spurts of that goal scoring ability. Those goals are they're going in against any goalie you want to throw out there. They're going in against, when you were a kid and you had your net set up out in front of your house and you're playing hockey with your friends and nobody wants to be a goalie, so you put that little tape up thing that just has the corners and the little 5-hole shots. They were just solid snipe goals. He exceeded expectations at some points, and then other points he just wasn't really there, like a lot of the players on the rest of the team. But I can't think of a single moment that Hedle really cost us anything in this playoff run. I think he was a B+ player, and I look forward to seeing how he develops. Again, a young kid with a lot of time left to, get better in the NHL.
I'm giving him a same as you, B+. Dude was an absolute stud in the playoffs for how young he is. He stunk during the regular season, but if you show up in the playoffs, I don't give a fuck about the regular season. I really don't.
Yep.
As long as you show up in the playoffs, it's just like what Greg Kaplan said. Fine. If you give me 3 players in the lineup that'll suck during the regular season and we make the playoffs, and then you show up and just light it up, that's completely fine with me. So I'm giving him a B+ just because he's still really young. I'm not going to be too hard on him because he sucked during the regular season. But, I think that's a fair rating.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A because 2 of those series, we don't even make it to the next round without him. Like, completely vital. The whole kid line for me gets today. Everybody on it. I'd like to see Hedle have more assists, be a more well-rounded player, but I'll be damned if he didn't put up some important goals during this and with some of the least experience on the ice, so he gets an A from me.
All right, moving on to Lafreniere, 20 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points, -3, and 11 penalty minutes. I'm giving Laf an A just on pure grit and tenacity. He played like somebody has been to the playoffs before, and he hasn't. He is so young. He has so much room for improvement. I mean, at the end of that game 5, he was right there with Stamkos, fucking trading punches. He knew what he had to do. He stepped up. He wasn't afraid of the moment. He embraced the moment. I mean, 2 goals, you could say somebody of Lafreniere's caliber you'd want more out of, and you could say that about anybody. I want more goals out of Ryan Reeves. You know what I mean? There's always the need for more goals. But I think Lafreniere played his balls off. He played balls to the wall like his hair was on fire. I really have nothing bad to say about Lafreniere, and I think he can only get better. So he's an A player in my book.
Agreed.
Yeah, Lafreniere, absolutely love the guy. I think the day he got drafted, I was more excited than any Rangers moment ever, besides maybe Game 7 this past year. But I got to give him credit for being such a young kid and basically telling Steven Stamkos, don't fuck with me. Because going into the league and facing a guy like that, you got to have a lot of balls. Whether he can fight or not. You're going up against most likely a Hall of Famer just because the NHL loves to love Steven Stamkos.
Yep.
So the fact that he was doing that and just getting chippy through the entire playoffs, and I want to go back to him only getting 11 minutes of playing time per game.
Yeah.
And he found a way to get 31 points, and he's only 20 years old.
He was noticeable out there every time he was on the ice.
A for me across the board.
Love it. Love it. I can't wait to see what this kid develops into because he's not done. All right. My favorite player on this list, Ryan Strome, 19 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points, plus minus of even 0, and 10 penalty minutes. I'm giving him a C. He's a C and possibly worse. I've never seen more missed opportunities with golden chances in my life. I know there's a lot of Ranger fans that love him. There's even more that absolutely hate him. And if you've ever played pickup hockey, roller hockey in the street with your friends, somebody feeds you the puck when the goalie is not even close to being in the net or able to make a play, and you miss the net and do it on a consistent basis, especially in the playoffs, fuck you. Fuck you. And that goal that he missed with Vasilevsky on the other post, and I mean just threaded to him, and he overskates it. Why are you going anywhere past the crease? It doesn't make sense. There's no reason to go and develop the play behind the net when the puck's going to the net. I will not be sad if the Rangers do not pick him up in the offseason and moves on. I would rather them spend the money on Patrano. So he gets a C, and I think I'm being generous with the C.
C minus. C minus. Him missing open nets just broke my heart. I think I broke a chair wherever I was. I'm pretty sure I broke that chair. The arm came off because I punched it when he missed that open net.
Valid anger.
I'm giving him a C. I think it's absolutely generous because I know the guy has he's got chemistry with Panarin, and I get that. But even if Panarin tries to make a case for him, the guy played himself out of that. He really showed that I don't even know what to say, honestly, because just thinking about that goal just gets me angry. That actually no goal, because it should have been. But the dude, you're a professional hockey player again, and you completely just messed up your job. You were given a job, and when there's an open net on a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky, no one else in the league fucks that up. No one else in the league fucks that up. So I'm giving. Actually, you know what? Fuck it, C minus, because that it really pissed me off. And I understand Strome's a great guy, and he's a good hockey player, and I know he is. But
there's no excuse to miss that.
I hope you fix it with another team because I don't want you back.
I'm with you. All right, Keiondre Miller, 20 games played, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points, -5 on the plus minus, and 10 penalty minutes. Miller at times played above his level of play. He played very well. He made some plays that he looked like he was beat, and he essentially was beat, but was able to back check, and that reach just was able to break up plays. But the amount of times that Miller did get beat, and with any of the stretch passes, whether it was the Pittsburgh series and Tampa Bay, it always seemed like it was behind Miller. And whether he was getting caught jumping in on the offensive zone a little too much, it's one of those, how much can you fault him because you want to see something like that from a player with his speed and his ability and the ability to get the puck to the net? Whether, he's not going to be roofing it. He's not that caliber of player, but he can generate offense just with his speed alone. I don't want to kick him too much for the -5, but there were times where he was beat and beat very badly. And a few of those times he made up for it, but he put himself in that position a little too much in this playoff run. I'm going to give him a B+.
So
I'm going to give him a B+. I like the way he used his length. He did get beat sometimes, but I think I saw more good than bad, and ultimately he's still a very young player, and I'll give him a B+.
Oh yeah.
So fun.
The future's bright.
He's the only skater that I'm giving an A+ to.
Wow.
How young he is. He's an absolute offensive weapon. And honestly, it's like playing 6-on-5 when he's on the ice and he has the puck and he has a shooting lane. He's one of the players on the ice that when I see him with the puck with a shooting lane, I know he's going to score. The plays he made in the playoffs were defensive veteran Hall of Fame plays. So he's the only skater that I'm giving an A+ to.
Wow. Fair enough. All right. Our guy, Kakko Tuesday, Kakko, 19 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5, and a +1 on the stat sheet. So only 5 points and was still a +1 out of, what was that? -20 games? -19 games? So, and 2 penalty minutes. So I think Kakko's another guy that the future is very bright. I think he's going to be a stud. I think he showed you that in spurts this year in the regular season. I think the playoffs, again, one of those guys where you wanted to see more offensive prowess. You want to see more goals out of him. But there's nothing that I can really say about him in a negative fashion other than it would have been nice to see him score more goals. And I could say that about anybody else on the ice. I give him an A. And the fact that he wasn't in that lineup in Game 6 is a fucking joke.
Yeah, he gets an A for me. Like I said, the kid line gets an A. They all played above their heads. None of them had any business playing as well as they did in the playoffs. They carried the team, youngest guys on the ice, carrying the team for the first series and a half. And, you can't ask for anything more than that. Like you said, you could ask for more points, but you want more points from everybody.
Yep.
The only thing I would say, like, I would like to see him more decisive with his moves, because sometimes I feel like he does end up in the corners for too long, just juking and jiving, trying to figure out where he's going to go while he's dribbling the puck.
Chalk it up to being young.
I'd like to see him a little bit more decisive with those moves. But other than that, I love his game. I loved his play. He gets the puck in deep. He's always giving, like all the young kids on the team, he's always giving 110%. Kid's a player, and he's going to be a player.
So I'm keeping Capo short and sweet. I'm giving him an A-, and the only reason for the minus is that he's a super slow skater. And I think everyone can agree on that. He's a pretty slow skater compared to Lafonia and Hedle. And I'm not saying he drags the line down with him, because the kid line played above their heads. But that's the only bad thing I have to say about him, because everyone can say, "Oh, well, he only had 18 points. What did he have? 18 points this regular season? He was out half the season, and he still had 18 points. He was out half the season." And you want to say that Lafreniere had 31 points. He was on pace to have 36 points. So, I still don't think we've seen the real Capo Caco yet.
I agree. Moving on to the guy that has the highest plus minus on the team, Ryan Lingard. 17 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, plus 8, 10 penalty minutes. This guy gets an A plus easily from me, hands down, a fucking difference maker, a force to be reckoned with, somebody that kept getting hurt and just coming right back. Like, dude, Terminator fucking style. Just you're not keeping me out. You're not hurting me. I repair myself. I'm a fucking cyborg. I don't feel pain right now. And you know that son of a bitch was taking an ice bath probably between periods for the amount of abuse that body took. There is not a damn thing bad I could say about Ryan Lingard. And it's just stellar performance, a fucking warrior mentality, a warrior type of playoff run. I love that guy. Heart and soul. Just grit and spit and gristle in his gut. Just you're not gonna fuck with that guy, dude. I love him. He is the culmination. He's like the total hockey player. He is like the old school, Eddie Shore guy of old, slap shot style hockey player. If anybody has anything bad to say about him, you don't know fucking hockey. Love Ryan Lingard. A plus.
Yeah, I said I don't believe in A pluses before. There's always something more you could do. I fucking lied, because Lindy gets a fucking A plus. I mean, it was noticeable when he wasn't on the bench. Everybody just seemed deflated. Between him and Goodrow, when they weren't playing, everybody just looked like they were dead.
Dude, unless they scored a goal, everything. I didn't see a smile on that motherfucker's face. He was just in everybody's face, just like, "I'll kill you. I will kill you. You mean nothing to me." I want to win.
A plus. I'm not even gonna bang the Ryan Lindgren. I don't need to bang the horn, the drum for him, because he took enough pucks off of his body to bang a billion drums.
His body's still rattling.
Yeah, DJ, you know how I said Keiondre Miller was the only skater I was giving an A plus to? Again, Nick, like you said, I lied. That dude, Ryan Lindgren, Jesus Christ, you get an A plus, even more than Keiondre Miller, because you're the ultimate warrior, literally. And he was one of the only guys that played with heart every single time he was on the ice during that playoff, and you saw it. It was noticeable.
You got everything he had.
He gave every single thing he had, and he left it on the ice.
Yep.
Everything you got.
And he scored the only even strength goal against Vasilevsky in 4 games.
Yep. Dude, and what a snipe it was.
You asked for anything more when you got that lineup. and they're shit in the bed like that. No.
Dude, I just want to give that guy a hug. I'm going to give him a hug and just thank him. Like, thank
By the
you.
way,
Warriors don't hug people.
Ryan
Dude,
Lindgren,
no,
if
he
you're
deserves a
listening-
hug. He deserves to come down from that battle. You know what I mean? Like a soldier coming back from Vietnam and everybody's fucking protesting him. You just need that one guy to be like, I don't give a shit if this comes off gay or not. You deserve a fucking hug. Thank you.
By the way, Ryan Lindgren, if you're listening, I love the mustache and I love the hair, but get a goddamn mullet. You look like Morgan Wallen and you're a fucking stud.
Love it. Oh, man. All right. Another favorite or another hated, depending on who you are in Rangers Twitterverse. Jacob Trouba, 20 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 total points, even on the plus minus at 0 and 25 penalty minutes.
How many hits? How many block shots?
Huh. I don't think you can count it at this point. Dude, Trouba gets an A for me. I don't understand the Trouba hate at all. I don't get it. How do you not want a defenseman that plays almost, step for step like a Jeff Bukaboom, just not going to give you an inch? If you give him the ability to truck you and you put your head down, he's going to make you pay for it every time. And if you want to say it's a dirty hit when he has his hands, elbows, and shoulders down, you're a fucking idiot and you watch ESPN way too much. Trouba was just a beast at that blue line. And again, jumped in on plays when he needed to jump in on plays, kept the puck in the zone when he could, and got back and was able to break up plays, going back in the defensive zone. And just he gave it his all. And like I said, when he had a chance to line you up and make you pay the price, he did. And watching Sidney Crosby pay the price was, oh my God, he deserves an award. He deserves a holiday in New York. We should throw just a ticker tape day parade for Trouba and Lindgren. Because, oh my God, couldn't be more proud. So Trouba gets an A in my book.
I'll give him an A- just because too many penalty minutes. That's the only. Everything else you said is spot on. What do you have? 25 minutes in the box?
Yep, 25.
A lot of time and not skating
the most.
So, Nick, I agree with your A-. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to give him an A just because the guy scored 39 points in the regular season. He had 11 goals, which is the same amount as Fox, and no one wants to talk about that.
Yep.
But
no, I'm just talking about the playoffs here.
Oh no, yeah, I know, I get what you're saying, but that's where the minus goes up to an A for me. And playoff wise, I mean, I know he took those 3 penalty minutes, but the presence, he was a presence that we didn't pay for on the ice because we paid for him to be a defenseman and he was still a presence on the ice. And I love the fact that the Rangers have a player now that everyone else is pissed off about. I absolutely love it.
Love it.
I love seeing the hate on Twitter about him because
not afraid to lay the wood.
All those teams that those people root for, they wish that they had a player like Jacob Trouba because the Penguins don't, the Hurricanes don't, Tampa doesn't. All you have is a baby in Hedman that bitches about a non-call when you get hit by Alexi Lafreniere, a 20-year-old kid who weighs like 160 pounds. He's an A for me because, again, he scored that insane goal in Pittsburgh, and that I think that was a series changer. I think if you're talking about series changing goals, that backhand, that beautiful backhand by Trouba, that's a Norris Trophy defenseman goal. I'm giving him an A.
Beauty. All right. Schneider, 20 games played, 0 goals, 3 assists, 3 points, -3 and 6 penalty minutes. I mean, for what you expected to get out of Schneider, he wasn't a detriment, but he wasn't somebody that was going to generate anything amazing. He was essentially a placeholder.
He's also a rookie.
Right. I mean, the advantage of having him in there over like a Nemeth, tremendous. But I mean, I didn't hate him, but he wasn't a difference maker. I'll give him a B. He did what he had to do for his age, for the situation he stepped into. I think he was, like I said, didn't hurt us, but didn't do much to help the cause. He's a B player.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him the only reason I'm gonna give him a B+ is because Patrick Nemeth, he's been in the league long enough that he knows what he has to do, and the fact that a rookie took your place and basically squash any performance you had, I'm gonna give him a B+ just because he creates offense as a defenseman and he's only a rookie. I think he's got a bright future.
Mm-hmm. All right. Tyler Mott, 15 games played, 2 goals, 0 assists, 2 points, -1, and 4 penalties in minutes. Mott was there, but was he there? I mean, it's going to be a very easy C for me.
Yeah, I agree. Not much impact at all.
I got a lot different mindset than you guys because I got an A- for him because
Wow.
I think he brought our penalty kill to the elite level that we had before the trade deadline, and I thought he showed up in a great way in the playoffs because he was one of those guys that was just skated with more heart than everyone else on the ice and didn't look defeated. So I'm going to give him an A- for what we got him for too.
Okay. Kevin Rooney, 15 games played, 0 goals, 2 assists, 2 points, 0 on the plus-minus, and 10 penalties in minutes. Rooney is one of those guys where it's I don't think, other than taking being a placeholder, I don't think he was a factor at all in the playoffs.
He was a placeholder for Capo fucking Kako,
which kind of throws a little salt in there for me. But I mean, I'll give him a C+. He didn't hurt us at all, but I mean, you really didn't get anything out of him to celebrate.
I agree. C+.
Yep, same here.
He played hard. I'm not going to say he didn't play hard. He did play hard.
He did, but C+.
Yep. Braun, 19 games played, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point, plus-minus is 0, and 6 penalty minutes. Braun, again, didn't hurt us, didn't really help us. He was just out there doing his thing. C+.
Yep.
I agree. I'm going to give him a C, though, just because he's a veteran defenseman. I thought he could have done more, but, it is what it is, so C.
Barclay Goodrow, 9 games played, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point, -1, and 6 penalty minutes. I'm going to give Goodrow a B-. He was injured, clearly still injured, but went out there and played. He had heart. There were times where he was kind of just out there floating around, not really making an impact. But again, a guy that we picked up from, was there in the playoffs, was there, won it with Tampa. You want somebody like that. I'm sure in the locker room he was throwing some of his wisdom around. I can only assume. But again, not a guy that hurt us. Could we have gotten more out of him? Yes. But, I mean, he essentially had a fractured ankle. So what we got out of him, B-. I appreciate the effort.
He gets a B+ from me because of the fractured ankle. I mean, CM Punk has a fractured ankle. He just gave up his belt and he's gone for like 2-3 months or something like that. So, I mean, they always talk about wrestlers being tough. I'm pretty sure The Undertaker did that Hell in a Cell match with Mankind with a fractured ankle.
He did. Favorite wrestler ever.
And Barclay Goodrow, one thing I said the same thing about Lindy was when he wasn't on the ice, it was very noticeable. Like it just it seemed like nobody wanted to block shots except for Lingard and Goodrow. And that's a big deal. Trouba, but that's a big deal to me, especially him sacrificing his body on top of already being sacrificed somewhat. It's a big deal. He gets a B+ from me. He just played all heart. That's what more can you ask for? Leave it all on the ice.
I agree with you, Nick. B+, just because he only played he got injured in game 3 or game 1 of Pittsburgh, actually.
Game 1, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he came back as quick as he did, because, I mean, especially, Nick, if you fracture your ankle in the military, you're not coming back for a while. And
if I fracture my ankle in the military, I'm getting my VA disability and going home.
Exactly. And, so just an absolute heart of a performance. And he made so much of a difference when he came back with a fractured ankle. So B+, absolutely.
Wait. Before we go, but move on, I just want to say real quick, I thought I dislocated my ankle this weekend. I was walking into headquarters, and my first sergeant was behind me. I turned around to see if he needed anything as he's behind me, and I took 2 steps backwards as I turned. I went to go pivot and turn back around, and they made the handicap ramp out of cinder block, not cinder block, out of brick. So when it settled, it did this. Like, this is the handicap ramp. It did this. So like, if this is the ramp and it goes like that, it did that now. And my boot clipped the part that was up, and my ankle just went sideways. And I thought for a second there was nothing underneath my shin. I felt like Conor McGregor. And I just thought it was real. I walk into headquarters and I'm limping, and my battalion executive officer looks at me and he's like, "Hey, Sergeant, what's with the limp, man? That doesn't look good." And I was like, "I just tripped outside." He's like, "On what?" And I was like, "I don't want to say." He's like, "On what?" I said, "On the handicap ramp." And the S4 goes, "So you got handicapped by the handicap ramp?" I said, "Yes, I did." It was pretty embarrassing, but I mustered through. I went through my what do we do, like a 4-mile ruck on a, and I was losing feeling in my foot. It was dope. Felt like Goodrow.
Awesome.
All right, that brings us to Ryan Reeves. 18 games played. I wish it was 20 games played. 0 points, 0 goals, 0 assists, -1, 12 penalty minutes. Reeves gets a B+ from me. You don't expect him to put points up on the sheet. He's there in the fourth line to be a force to be reckoned with. He's there to keep everybody in line. Apparently, Gallant forgot about that and sits him in 2 of possibly the most important games of the Rangers playoff run. I mean, I think he kept everything fair in every one of those series, other than the Game 5 and Game 6, because he wasn't there. He wasn't playing. Him just being on the ice is a testament to how scary that man is and how even he will keep it and how no one will get out of line because he will hurt somebody. And for a fourth line player that, a lot of people will just put in the goon category, he's not going to hurt you. No one's scoring when he's out there. He's going to skate hard into the boards to get to the puck. No one's going into the corner if he's going to be the first to the puck. They're staying away from him. And he can hold that puck along the boards and keep the puck and burn time in the offensive zone and keep the puck away from Igor. So, I got nothing bad to say about Ryan Reeves. I got everything to say about Gallant keeping him out of Game 5 and Game 6. I look forward to next year at Ryan Reeves and the effort he's going to bring, because he's one of those, he's just a role player, and you're going to get 110% out of that role.
A- for me for the very same reason. Anybody who doesn't like Ryan Reeves needs to go root for a different team.
I agree.
A- for me, just because Ryan Reeves brought something to the Rangers that I don't think they've had even since I've been a fan, is culture. Like him reading off the lineup, him doing the Shesty Release Us, and he even told you yesterday about how Shesty Release Us was born, and he just decided to start screaming it.
Yep.
So the guy brought culture, and I don't think the Rangers locker room has had that in a very long time. And
love it. Love him.
I think that's going to be the reason that the Rangers have a couple rings in the next decade.
I hope so.
If we keep the culture, the no quit New York mindset. And he also started How About Them Rangers, so.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, and also he was great on the forecheck. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but I think he's a great forechecker.
He doesn't have the speed, but he has the size and the ability to get in people's faces and put body to body.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can all agree F for Nemeth. 5 games played, 0 points, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, -4 and 8 penalty minutes. Nemeth F.
He gets a fucking Z from me.
Zed, bring it all the way down.
He's in the corner with his dunce cap on.
Buy him out.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then you got Hunt playing 3 games, and then Brodzinski. I'm not going to get into them. We didn't really see enough of them. I mean, not enough to shit on them. I guess we got what we needed out of them. Hunt was -2. Not great, but those are games that the Rangers were losing anyway and didn't really bring the best effort. So I can't shit on them. Nothing to really write home about them, in a positive way. They were there. Appreciate them coming in, and I there's nothing really I could give either way, con or pro or con with them. So I don't know if you guys have anything to throw in on either one of those guys.
No, I got something to say about Nemeth though. If Rangers organization, if anyone's listening, if you have the balls to buy out Hank, buy this guy out. Just saying.
I agree. I don't see an upside with him. I don't see it.
No, I don't see it either. The dude is he's the definition of a liability in the ice.
Got that right. Jesus. I mean, that was the roster. We broke it down. Sorry we went a little long. If you hung in there with us or you're still listening to us yabber on, obviously we're losing our voices at this point. Empty on the whiskey. But it's our holding on to our last little bit of this playoff run and a great season. And even though we didn't make it to the finals or win a cup this year, I think that either way, you cannot classify this year as a loss. You can't classify this year as something that was a disappointment because it wasn't. We're disappointed because we didn't win. I think there's always going to be disappointment there, but I think they exceeded expectations. I think the year that Kreider had was historic. Like you said, I think the 96 points with Temmie Panarin was so quiet and was just expected, I think, at the type of player he is. Yet, it's if anybody else in the league has the type of year he had with those 96 points, you'd see him on every ESPN reel speaking about the NHL. So it's a little disservice to him. But I had a great time this year. I love this team. I enjoyed every moment of it. Not really the losing part, but still the overall experience of the ride was amazing. I'm still riding high, even though we're not there. We're not in the cup. I got to meet this guy right here, Dave. Got to share in a tradition of third period bourbons, which we're going to continue to carry on for many years until my liver fails. And, I try to pull a Mickey Mantle and get a new liver to burn through. But
hey,
nice
guys,
wrestling.
I really appreciate you guys bringing me on. I was an absolute no name, and I still kind of am, but I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Give me.
You're not a no name with us.
Absolutely not.
I agree with that, or I appreciate that. Sorry, the bourbons are hitting me. But I appreciate you guys just bringing me on, especially living in Florida. Shout out to Tampa because you have no fucking hockey culture, and I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to talk hockey. And
yes, thank you for coming on, man.
Have fun and honestly make my dad happy too with seeing all this, all the people doing third period bourbons now. It's absolutely unreal, and I can't wait to see it.
Innovator,
more
an absolute innovator.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got fucking Einstein in Britannica, book of innovators and people that just set the standard for what inventions are, and then your father's right underneath it. You just
be happy to hear that.
You just cannot. I mean, especially there's nothing hits better than a third period bourbon as the Rangers are winning. Oh my god!
Well, when they're
so
winning,
good.
Doesn't that bourbon taste so good?
Dude, I'm sitting there swigging on Pappy Van Winkle 23 year. I'm sipping on a $4,000 or $5,000 bourbon at that point. It could be swill out of the bottom of a bucket that it's like, oh, dude, yeah, I just poured out like 3 Jack and Cokes. You want some of that bucket? If it's a Rangers victory and there's whiskey in there, it's going to be tremendous. And I cannot talk up enough how much fun the third period bourbon experience was. So your dad, shout out to your dad. It cannot be downplayed. It needs to be shouted from the heavens. I think we got to get the Empire State Building was a constant reminder of the roasting that a building can do on Twitter. I think the Empire State Building needs to jump in on third period bourbon. Light up the top in brown with a little white on top for a nice ice cube. Roll with it, boys, because this was fucking fun.
This was fun. The best season I've ever had by far as a Rangers fan.
Last but not least, I want to wish a happy 247th birthday to the United States Army. Happy birthday, you sexy bitch.
Happy birthday, brothers.
That's all I got from us over here at Scoreboard Addicts Podcast and Third Period Bourbon. We want to thank you for spending this Rangers season with us. We'll catch you again in about 2 months when we start back up. But, of course, catch us on Wednesdays at while we do our regular show, and look for our buddies over at Wrestling Addicts as well. And we'll see you again real soon.
And also, if you guys ever want to jump in on Third Period Bourbon podcast for the off-season moves, I'll shoot you a text. I'd love to have
Absolutely,
you guys on.
brother. Absolutely. Yes,
That
please.
sounds like
Everybody go
absolute
check out Dave, Third Period Bourbon. Check out his podcast. Check him out on Twitter. Fun interactions all around. And if you're not drinking whiskey, unless
You're wrong. You're wrong.
unless you're on your 12th step,
You're
and
wrong.
I support you. But other than that, there's no reason not to be jumping on the bandwagon.
And for the last time this season,
Welcome to our Rangers hockey at Madison Square Garden. Zabana jam with 16 seconds to go. Kreider, it's number 50.
Think about them Rangers, huh?
Stay right.